Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Asmad Gurubhyo Namaha श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः श्री मेधा दक्षिणामूर्ति स्वामिने नमः। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओम। नमस्ते।
Namaskaram. Namaskaram.
Namaskaram.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste.
Namaste, Guruji.
Namaste. Namaste. So we are seeing the last or the third of the three Shariram, Sharira Trayam, which is Karana Shariram. I dealt with that in some length because Karana Shariram is a very subtle concept for us to understand. First of all, such a thing exists itself, nobody knows, right? But then logically, when you see nothing can exist without a seed, without a cause. So the Karana Shariram, we have to understand, is the cause for all this creation. And a very beautiful definition was given by the author. The function was stated as Sharira Dvayasya Karana Matram, which is the cause for the two bodies. Because as I said, what happens is at the end of the pralayam, when the pralayam comes, at the end of the one cycle of creation, the Stula Shariram and Sukshma Shariram, they become unmanifest. Karana Shariram also becomes unmanifest. In fact, Stula Shariram keeps on changing, and every birth it gets destroyed, right? Sukshma Shariram goes right up to the end of creation, and there it also gets destroyed. In fact, I wouldn't say destroyed because nothing gets destroyed. Both Stula Shariram, Sukshma Shariram become unmanifest. Karana Shariram continues to exist because Karana Shariram is required when the creation happens for the next set of this Stula Shariram and Sukshma Shariram to be created. Without the Karana Shariram, they won't be created. So that is how we have to understand this Karana Shariram function, right? Then we saw the condition of this Karana Shariram, Nirvikalpaka Rupa, means what? It is just a mass of what you can call, a dense mass of something. That's what the scientists also call it now, the singularity, right? You can't differentiate anything within the Karana Shariram. Within the seed, you cannot differentiate anything. So that is the condition, Nirvikalpaka Rupa. We saw that. Then the nature also we saw. It was said Swarupa Ajnanam. Swarupa Ajnanam means the nature itself is actually, we said, a state of no information. Ajnanam basically means ignorance. Ignorance means what? No knowledge about anything. You cannot, because of the lack of differentiation, we cannot have any knowledge about anything in that particular state, in the Karana Shariram, right? And also he said Anadi, means it is beginningless. So that means what? Karana Shariram does not have any Karana. It is not the, it is the cause of all causes. So you cannot say what is the cause for Karana Shariram. There is no cause for Karana Shariram. Karana Shariram is Karana Shariram, and that is the cause for all other things in the creation. That's how we have to understand this word Anadi, right? Beginningless. And This Karana Shariram was given a technical name, Mula Avidya. Avidya means what? Same, ignorance only. Vidya means knowledge. Avidya means ignorance. Mula Avidya is actually a technical term which is used in Vedanta, and it is actually used as a synonym for Karana Shariram also. In fact, Adi Shankara, in his Bhashyam and all, he uses Mula Avidya more than Karana Shariram. He doesn't use the word Karana Shariram. Okay. So, Mula Avidya is the root cause. Why, if at all you want to look at the cause, it is because of ignorance that the existence of this Karana Shariram continues. Ignorance of everything, ignorance of the self, basically. That is why the Karana Shariram continues. Right? And this Mula Avidya is also described in different ways in the Shastras. It is called Prakriti. Some people call it Maya. Then Avyaktam, that means what? Unmanifest, Avyaktam. Shaktihi. All these names are given in the Shastra. So if you come across any of these names, you understand it is all referring to Mula Avidya, which means Karana Shariram. That's all, right? All these are synonyms. So here author has used the word Anadi Avidya Rupa. That is the word that author has used, right? So it is the causeless cause of the universe, of the entire cosmos. Now there is only one word we are left with in the explanation given, which is Anirvachya. This word Anirvachya is another technical term for Mithya. We have seen what is Mithya when we saw, Atma Satyam Tadanyat Sarvam Mithyeti. So I explained there what was Mithya. Mithya is that which does not have independent existence. Satyam is that which has got independent existence. Mithya is that which does not have independent existence. Many people translate Mithya as false. That is not a correct translation. Because Satyam is truth, so Mithya is opposite to that, false. This is, many people take the easy way out to translate. Mithya is not false. There is another word in Sanskrit called Anritam. That means false. Mithya means that which does not have its own existence. That means what? It appears to exist. For all experiential purposes, a Mithya Vastu will appear to exist. But actually speaking, it doesn't exist. It doesn't have own existence. It appears to exist because of its borrowed existence from Satyam. Satyam lends its existence to Mithya Vastu, and so Mithya Vastu appears to exist. It is just like the magicians, when we see they take a rabbit out of the hat and, they bring out some flowers from a kerchief and all that kind of stuff. For all practical, our experience, we feel that the rabbit is existing and the flowers are existing and all that. But all their existence is depending upon what? That magician. Right? Magician actually is lending existence to all these things which we see from a distance and we take it that they are real. But actually speaking, if you go and talk to the magician, he will say, I only make up. No, I only do sort of make these things appear. But actually, I don't bring any of these things. Now, how he does it, that is his trade secret. But this is one way we can understand this, what is Mithya means. So this word Anirvachya means what? Literally, Anirvachya means that which cannot be explained. Anirvachya. Anirvachya. That which cannot be explained. So it appears to be real, but it is not real. It appears to be existent, but it is not existence. So like that, what will you call such a thing? I can't explain it. That is what you will say. I cannot tell what exactly it is. That is Anirvachya. And that is what the author says. So for simplicity's sake, we can take the word anirvachya means mithya, that which does not have its own existence. And we saw that examples like clay, pot, and all that, so many examples. Clay has got its own existence. Pot has got a dependent existence on the clay. If the pot is destroyed, clay will continue to exist. But if the clay is removed from the pot cannot exist. So all these examples are given in the Shastras. Okay. So the Karana Shariram is also Anirvachya. We cannot explain what exactly it is. Like it is Avyakta, it is Maya, right? All these words, as I told you, are used for Karana Sharira. So now the question is, we said that by its definition, a Karana Shariram exists before creation, right? And after dissolution. That means what? Between creation and dissolution, we cannot experience Karana Sharira. We can experience Sthula Sharira, no problem. Even if we take rebirth, the another Sthula Shariram we can experience. We can experience the Sukshma Shariram, go on experiencing it in different bodies, different shapes and forms. We can experience, but Karana Shariram, its existence is there only during the period between dissolution and the next creation. Because when the next creation comes, the Karana Shariram has fulfilled its role. Then you can't experience it. There is a problem. Now, how do we understand this Karana Shariram? We want to experience it. So Bhagavan has been very kind. Ishvara, is such a compassionate. All those people, because these questions are hardly, 1 out of 1,000,000 may get these questions. Right? It's not that nobody even thinks of Vedanta. All these things are all Greek and Latin for 99% of the people. Only a few people who have actually, probably because of their past samskaras and all that, they get an inclination to come and try to understand what this is all about. So for such people, Bhagavan has made one very wonderful system. What is that system? See, pralayam means what? Pralayam means Stula Sharira is completely dissolved. Sukshma Sharira is completely dissolved. Only Karana Sharira in the form of Mula Vidya, a state of no information, exists. Correct? Now, every day we experience the Karana Sharira. How? Because when we go to sleep, what happens? The physical body is completely resolved in sleep, right? No activity takes place. All jnanendriyas, karmendriyas, everything completely resolved. Sukshma Shariram also, even Manaha and Buddhi are resolved. They are not active, they are sleeping. And what is the state? Total ignorance. Because we can't have any, for knowledge, the mind and buddhi have to be active for any knowledge to be there. But when the mind and buddhi are both completely resolved, there is total ignorance. That is why a person who is sleeping can never say, I am sleeping very well. Or even he cannot say, I am sleeping, because he doesn't know that he is sleeping. Only when he wakes up, he will know I slept well. Right? So this is in past tense only he can talk. He can never talk in present tense when the person is sleeping. So whereas pralayam is the resolution of the whole cosmos, stula and sukshma sharirams, the sleep, which in Shastra is called layam. Layam is the way we can understand this Karana Sharira. It's exactly every day. No, like what they do, when they construct some big mall or multi-story building and all that, what they do, they will first make one prototype kind of a thing, one small model, right? Which will actually have all the elements, and if you see the model, you can visualize how the big building is going to look like. Like that, God has made this small prototype model in the form of sleep for us to understand what this Karana Shariram, what is the state during the period between Pralayam and the next creation, what is the state of this entire universe. We can experience it every day. This is the bonus Ishvara has given to all of us to understand this Karana Shariram. Otherwise, if you just say it's a state of no information, what will you understand? Because as long as in our waking hours, there is no state of no information that we experience. Every waking moment, our brain is active, our mind is active, some information is always there. Even when you are in dream state, when you are dreaming, there is some information processing goes on, takes place in the mind. So that is also not a state of no information. How to actually visualize the state of no information? This Mula Avidya, how to visualize that? For that, sleep is the best example God has created, and which Shastras also say that is the example. If you understand, analyze sleep, the condition of the gross body, the condition of the subtle body during sleep, the condition of the mind, buddhi, if you analyze that, that is the state of this entire universe, and that is Karana Sharira. And what is happening there? Everything is in a avyakta form. Next day when you wake up, when the creation happens, everything which was there all bloom. They all come alive. Nothing new takes place, right? When you actually go to sleep, you are going to sleep with all your knowledge which you had got, all your samskaras, all your habits, everything you go to sleep. During the sleep, you don't use any of them. But when you wake up, it is like creation. All these things again come back, right? So this is how, if we want to understand Karana Shariram, this is the best example which is there in the Shastras. So tonight when you go to sleep, you can say, okay, my Stula Shariram is shut down, Sukshma Shariram shut down, Karana Shariram is active now. And then next day morning, you can understand what was that Karana Shariram. So this is the description of Karana Shariram. So it's a miniature model. Sleep is a miniature model for this. What is the what happens between Pralayam and the next is Srishti. Okay. So all these this is all the points relating to Karana Shariram. And in fact, Swami Paramathananda, he gives a very nice example of this, what he used, the Satswarupa Ajnana, this ignorance. A beautiful example he gives. He says, he gives a very interesting story, right? There was one orthodox person, very orthodox person. He will follow untouchability, everything he will follow. He will not even touch people and all that. He was traveling by train. And there was another passenger next to him who was probably, some other religion or some other caste. According to the orthodox person, he was an untouchable. Okay. So this orthodox person sat there and told that fellow, see, I am a very orthodox person and you are not orthodox, so you should not touch me during this journey. Right? If you touch me, I will become impure. So you should not touch me. So that fellow, also very reverential fellow, he said, okay, Swami, I will not touch you. As the journey continued, this orthodox person fell asleep. and that person also fell asleep. And while sleeping, he actually fell on this Orthodox person's lap. The Orthodox person did not know that that fellow is actually sleeping on his lap. And that fellow also did not know that he is actually touched this Orthodox person, which he had promised not to do. Total ignorance. Right? This is what is Mula. When they wake up, then he said, Orthodox person, oh my God, you have touched me. He was lying down on the lap. But when he was sleeping, he never knew that this was, I am Orthodox, he is unorthodox, I am a Brahmin, he is a Shudra, he is a Kshatriya, I am a man, he is a woman. All these differences which we actually entertain during waking hours, all these differences become what? Nirvikalpaka Rupa. All these differences vanishes during the Karana Avastha. So this is another story, how we can understand this ignorance. Ignorance does not mean lack of knowledge. Ignorance means no information. Right? Knowledge is there in its potential form, but we cannot recall that, we cannot bring it to active knowledge. Okay. So all these divisions we have in our life are in the deep sleep state. Sorry, they are not there in the deep sleep state. They are only in the waking state. So by nature, what is the message of the Shastras here? From a nature's perspective, all these differences don't exist. I am a Brahmin, you are a Shudra, I am this, I am that, I am superior, you are inferior. These differences from the nature's point of view, from Ishvara's point of view, nothing exists. This is all created by us. And because of all these things, we get into all sorts of troubles, all sorts of worries, all sorts of sorrow, all sorts of miseries and all that. So a Mahatma is one who has actually crossed over all these differences, and he sees everything, everybody with the same bhavana. He is a Mahatma. That is what Bhagavan Krishna again and again says in Bhagavad Gita. So these are all the lessons that we have to learn from all these Tattva Bodha and scriptures and all. Okay. So as I told, Karana Shariram continues to exist, and there is only one condition when the Karana Shariram is also dissolved. What is that condition? Shastra says that once you get your self-knowledge and abide in self-knowledge, Karana Shariram also gets dissolved. Because I told you, one of the aspects of the Karana Shariram is it is the hard disk where all our punya papas are being stored in Karana Shariram. And it is actually speaking, what is creation? According to the Shastras, creation is nothing but an opportunity being created for all jivas to exhaust one portion of their punya papas. So actually, Ishvara does the creation to help the jivas to exhaust the punya papas. And if the jivas happen to be born as human beings, also given opportunity to get Atma Jnanam, Tattva Bodha, and then get released from this cycle of rebirths. Purpose of creation is that. Purpose of creation is not to create more creation, right? Unfortunately, we all think that, purpose of creation is to sustain the creation. That God, sustenance God does, Ishvara does. Main purpose of creation is to help us to exhaust some portion of the punya papa, or if we get an opportunity, a good guru, and have the inclination for scriptural studies and the spiritual journey, then this could turn out to be your last birth. Escape from this entire creation. Become one with Ishvara. In fact, at a higher levels, today, now I am using the word become one with Ishvara, right? But at higher levels, the Vedanta Upanishads say there is no question of your becoming one with Ishvara. You can become one with Ishvara only if you are different from Ishvara. You are Ishvara, Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi. So where is the question of becoming? The moment you say becoming, you are back to samsara. So understand that I was never different. To understand that I was never not a mukta is what is the culmination of Vedantic knowledge. That is what is self-knowledge. So we will come to all that when we go on studying and all that. What exactly is the nature of this moksha which Vedanta talks about. We will see that in detail, but it will be too premature or for me to talk about all those concepts. It will only lead to more confusion. So step by step we have to go. So at this stage we can understand that it is the merger of the individuality with the totality is what is moksha. That is what we are saying is removal of all the punya papa, the karana shariram being totally dissolved. No punya papa. And that can happen only through Atma Jnanam, through self-knowledge. Okay. Realizing that I am Sachidananda Swarupaha. I am not Ganapathy or whatever it is, names are there. Right? I am Sachidananda Swarupaha. That understanding, abidance in that understanding is what is important. Okay. So this is what is about Karana Shariram. So we started off with 11 elements of this anatma. So there were 3 karana shariram, 5 panchakoshas and 3 avasthas. We have only completed the 3 karana shariram. Of course, this was the longest one. The panchakoshas and the avasthas are much simpler. So now the next topic, according to what the author's sequence is, should be kosha panchakam, that is panchakoshas. Kosha means a sheet, or you can call it a cover. Okay, like we have a cover for a car and all that, or a sword. We have the what you call scabbard. That's a sheet for the sword and all that. So kosha means a cover. So Shastra talks about panchakoshas, about our body and But what has happened is, even though he started off saying that Sharira Trayam, Panchakosha and Avastha Trayam, somehow the author now first talks about Avastha Trayam after talking about Sharira Trayam, and Panchakosha he talks about later. So there has been some interpolation of the topics. We will follow the author, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we are going to cover all 11 items. So we will first see Avastha Trayam and then we will see Panchakoshas. Okay. So the student is asking now, Avastha Trayam Kim? What do you mean by this? Avastha Trayam means the 3 avasthas. Avasthas you can understand as states of experience. Okay. Avastha Trayam Kim. I will explain it later. The author says, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, Avastha. He talks about 3 states. Jagrat Avastha, Swapna Avastha and Sushupti Avastha. These are the 3 states of our existence, and these are the 3 states of our experience also. That is why it is called Avastha. What is Jagrat Avastha? Waking state. What is Swapna Avastha? Dream state. And what is Sushupti Avastha? Deep sleep state. These are the 3 states every one of us go through every day. In fact, you can say, unless of course we are in some coma and all. Coma also Jagrata Avastha is there, because only thing is certain faculties don't work, but otherwise the person eats and he is alive. So these are the 3 states. Now Vedanta analyzes these 3 states very, very detailed manner. In fact, no other philosophy analyzes these three states like Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta does. Upanishads, especially if you see the Mandukya Upanishad, if you study Mandukya Upanishad, all these states are analyzed thoroughly so that we understand what exactly is our true nature. Because we are today taking so many things as our nature. Sorry. Shastra says what you are understanding about your nature is totally wrong. You have no clue what your true nature is. So first Shastra, what it does, the methodology, what are our understanding of our true nature is, it takes up each one of them, analyzes that. And then says, you see, you thought this was your true nature, this is not your true nature. Like that, one by one, Shastra, negates all our understanding and says that now what is left is your true nature. At the end, we will see what is left rather. Okay. So he enumerates Jagrat Avastha, as I said, waking state, experience of the waking state, Swapna, dream state, and Sushupti is the dreamless deep sleep. Because we must understand, normally we think that when we go to sleep, we dream. Actually, according to Shastra, dream is a state, it's a Sandhya period between waking state and the deep sleep state. Actually, when we have a deep sleep, we have no dreams. In fact, even dream state actually is a very small period, it is said. Even though for us, we may be thinking that we are seeing so many things and the dream is going throughout the night. It is actually a dream does not last more than 2 or 3 minutes. That is what, the research has shown rather. But that's not important for us, that it lasts for 2 minutes or 20 minutes. As long as we enjoy the dream. Many of the dreams are very enjoyable, isn't it? So sometimes when some of us we sleep in the afternoon, that time also we will dream because so enjoyable dreams. All things which we wanted to eat and all, which our spouse doesn't give us, we will eat in the dream. So that is all there. Okay. So he has used these three words: Jagrat Avastha, Swapna Avastha, Sushupti Avastha. Now the student immediately raises his hands. Jagrat Avastha ka? He asks this thing. Okay. Then the author goes into a description of what is this waking state, what is this Jagrat Avastha. He says, Srotradi Jnanendriyaihi Shabdhadi Vishayaischa Nyayate iti ya sa Jagrat Avastha Stula Sharira Bhimani Atma Vishwa Ityuchyate. This is for Sanskrit students, you can read it. He will explain it. So the student is asking, what is this state, waking state experience? And the author is, as usual, explain. The waking state is what? Ya nyayate. Nyayate here means which is experienced, which is known with the help of the interaction between two factors. What are they? Srotradi Jnanendriyaihi. Srotradi means hearing, etc. Jnanendriyaihi, that is Srotradi Jnanendriyaihi. The sense organs, the 5 sense organs of hearing, etc. This is the one aspect of the Jagrata Avastha, right? Then Shabda Adi Vishayaischa, then the Karmendriyas. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, right? So these 5, Shabdadi, Jnanendriya, Shabdadi, Vishayascha, Jnayate. So both the Karmendriyas and Jnanendriyas, when they are in full action, whatever we experience is what is called Jagrata Avastha. Very simply he says, okay, because sense organs alone cannot generate experience. Sense organs, they require the sense objects. Shabdadi Vishayahi, it is required, right? If you want to hear something, there should be something to be heard. Then only hearing, because that's why, many people have this problem. Small children, and some mothers, they always, when the child is born, one of the biggest questions in the mother's mind, is what? She has given birth to a beautiful child, isn't it? So very natural questions. Whether the child has got any infirmities. And the most important infirmity they test is whether the child can hear. Sometimes what will happen, they will make some sound and the child will be motionless. It will not react. And they will have they'll get very tense. Oh my God. The child cannot hear probably. So they will take some small, something and then put it near the ear of the child. And then when it moves its heads and looks at it, good, child now can hear. Because that is one of the biggest, this personally I've experienced many mothers doing this, just to find out whether, because everything else you can see, nose is there, so we assume. But ear is there, but whether it can hear or not, we don't know. So they test it. So like that, for each sense organ, for it to be put to use, there has got to be a corresponding sense object, isn't it? So that object, unless it is there, the sense organs cannot give you any experience. So an experience is always a combination of the sense objects and the sense organs interacting with each other, and which is how we get all our knowledge. So this is what he is saying. Srotriyadi jnanendriyahi shabdhadi vishayaischa jnayate. Right? Iti sa jagrata. So in waking state, this is what continuously happens. Whether we are reading a book or whether we are listening to music, whether we are seeing some movie, or we are smelling some very nice aroma coming from the kitchen, right? Or when we are sitting in a beach, there is a beautiful, nice breeze blowing, and we can feel that breeze on our skin, so nice on our face. So, because of all those objects of the sense objects, we get all these sense experiences and the knowledge of that sense experience. This is what the author is saying. So, what is a waking state? Waking state is not when my eyes are open. Eyes are open also is part of waking state, but all five sense organs interacting with all the corresponding sense objects is what is a waking state. We must understand, right? So Shabda, the objects are what? Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, right? Then the sense organs we have seen. The five sense organs like sight, hearing, and all that correspond. So these are Indriya Gurupai. You must understand this. We are talking about Indriyams when we talk of sense objects, not the Golakam, not the physical objects. These are part of the Sukshma Sharira, the sense objects. That you must remember. Sense organs. Okay. What happens during deep sleep state? These sense organs are withdrawn, as I told you when we saw Karma Sharira. That time, no experience is there possible. So, for experience to understand it another way, necessity of active sense organs is necessary. And in fact, if you are hearing challenged or sight challenged, that much of experience they will not have, those people. So they will be in waking state because still, other experiences they will gain. That is also Jagrata Avastha only, but they will have, not have that experience. But why? Even when you have all the faculties intact, suppose you are attending a music program and in between you doze off. What happens? What happened during that time you cannot know. That part of the music program, na nyayate. You will be ignorant of that. Maybe some very nice Todi Ragam or something, I'm talking about classical music. Or Kalyani, you would have gone, you have slept through Kalyani. And when you just wake up and say, what did he sing or what did she sing? They say Kalyani, oh, I missed it. Why? Dozed off in the music. Many people do doze off, that is okay. So these complementary pairs are necessary, sense organs and sense objects. And the entire waking state is a state of what? Series of pleasures and pain, right? And the pleasure leads to further reaction, pain leads to further reaction. So it starts with one thing and then, like a chain reaction, it goes on. Emotional problems like desire, anger, delusion, greed, lust, envy, all kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, everything are all reactions to this waking state experiences. All this very simply we can understand sense organs and sense objects are interacting. What happens after that interaction is the biggest problem, rather. Isn't it? So if these interactions are absent, emotional problems also will be absent. We'll be very happy. Or we may not be happy, we may not be sad. There will be absolutely no emotions, right? And even the worry about the future, what is going to happen. This corona doesn't seem to be ending. When will it end? I've got my daughter to be married. Already everything is fixed, but we are not able to perform the marriage, or son to be married. We are not able to perform the marriage when this corona, always worrying about future. By worrying, do we gain anything? Nothing we gain. In fact, we may develop negative health problems by worrying. But we don't, because of Mula Vidya, we don't bother about that. We keep on worrying. What will happen? Some people, the child is just 2 years old. They will start worrying where to admit the child, what the child will become when it grows up, whether the child will take care of me or not. All those kind of things, they will be worried. And the child is just 2 years old. He's not even able to walk properly. So this is how we get into this samsara problem. And all because of these sense organs and sense objects interacting. Right? So all these are all Jagrat Avastha. We have to understand, right? And another important aspect we have to understand is that for all these experiences, this interaction between the Jagrat Avastha and the interaction between sense objects and the sense organs, one important precondition is there for getting this knowledge. What is that? The mind should be behind the sense organs. Then only that experience happens. Because if the mind is not active, even though they may be having interaction, nothing will be registered. And many of you will explain, even I have experience in attending Vedanta lectures. The ears will be interacting with the speech of or the talk of the guru. Mind is somewhere else. What he talked for 15 minutes, no clue. Right? So the mind to support the sense organs is a very important precondition. And that is why we focus more on, meditation and, training the mind to concentrate, to focus, so that when the mind is engaged in a particular activity, we must not allow the mind to go away from that activity. We must gain that mastery over the mind. Then only you can make progress in your spiritual path. If you are allowing your mind to go everywhere it wants to go, forget about Vedanta and all that. Nothing will enter your mind. Something here you will hear, something there you will hear. Nothing will make sense. So concentration is important, and for that mind training is important, and that is because mind has to be behind the sense organs for us to gain these experiences during waking state. Okay. And that is why, suppose there is something very feeble. Many people, they'll put their hands like this. So, it is the mind it's not able to register. So it will immediately tells the hand, you go and help the ear to listen. It's very, very, feeble sound is there. So you go. So this whole interaction, if we just study how beautifully, the whole thing happens in our life, we don't realize when we do all these things. But when you sit back and understand, we will know how interconnected this entire system in our body is. Such a beautiful system Bhagavan has created. There cannot be, nobody can replicate this system other than Bhagavan himself. Okay. So, as I said, we are not referring physical ears, even though we put our hand here near the physical ears. It is meant for the hearing faculty to concentrate, focus on what is that feeble sound is. So that we must understand, right? So the functioning of these indriyas requires the indriya abhimanam. Abhimanam means identification. That's what he says. Indriya abhimanam is required. In the this thing explanation is stula sharirabhimani, right? Abhimanam, that identification is required with all our sense organs, our sense object, and identification also is required with the golakams also. So that is why we put our hand. When we want to hear something very feebly, we don't touch our nose, isn't it? We put our hand behind the ears only, because that identification is there. It is through the ear that we are hearing. So that is why this abhimanam is very necessary for waking state. And this abhimanam, with this stula shariram, all these things, and sukshma shariram, is the biggest problem for all of us. Because of this abhimanam, this identification, we actually take ourselves to be this, body, mind, sense complex. And when we do that, all the experiences I told you about, kama, krodha, lobha, moha and all, we all get the consequences of this abhiman. It's all this mama, that is aham and mama abhiman. Me and mine. So I am so and so and so, and all these are my relatives. Anything happens to me, I am sad. Anything happens to them, I am very sad. This is the problem in our samsara life. Okay. So that's why in dream and in sleep state, in deep sleep state, there's no abhimanam at all. So you are totally free, happy. That's why, the deep sleep is so relaxing. When you get up from the deep sleep, what do you say? I've had a very wonderful, relaxing sleep. It was so nice. Very happy state. This is what we say. So the deep sleep state is the happiest state. But that happiness is not the happiness which Vedanta talks about. We will see about that later. That is experiential happiness. Upanishad talks about that also. In fact, we saw right at the beginning. Vishayananda. Because they say ignorance is bliss. So the state of ignorance which we actually experience, this experience of no experience, that is actually what we call bliss. So there is a happiness in ignorance also, but that is not the Swarupa Ananda. Swarupa Ananda is the Ananda of your nature, which we will see, when we see the Satchidananda definition. So this is what is all about this, what is the waking state. And the Jivan Muktas, the Mahatmas, what they do is, they actually remove this identification with their physical body. Removing the identification, how? Not physically removing the identification, cognitively removing the identification. So whatever happens to the physical body, they don't take it that it is happening to me. Isn't it? Because just to see, suppose we have some relatives, our children, let us take our children. Something happens to them, they are sick, for example. When the children are sick, we feel we are sick. Why? Strong identification with the children. But let me ask you one thing. In the next street, on the next block, there is some child who is sick. You have just heard there is some child who is sick. Do you have identification with that child? You have no identification. That child being sick doesn't bother you unless you are a doctor, right? But otherwise, normally, it won't bother you. You may feel, oh, okay, poor parents, they have to suffer. Like that, you may have some sympathy for them. But there is no identification with that child whom you don't know at all. So you don't have the same kind of emotional reaction towards that child, the sickness of that child, which you have towards the sickness of your own child. Why? Because of this identification. So cognitively disidentifying yourself means you just look at this example. There, cognitively you have disidentified with that, the child in the other block. Whereas here, cognitively, we are identifying with our child. All our problems in our life are because of this identification. Identification with our Stula and Sukshma Sharira. That's why Jnanis, they don't have this identification. Cognitively, they have dropped this identification. Whatever happens to Stula Sharira, according to Prarabdha Karma, it will happen. So they just bear it. Titiksha, they develop enough titiksha, and then, okay, fine, let it happen. I can't do, nothing can be done about it. If some doctors are there, some serious sickness is there, they say, no, you have to go undergo dialysis. He will say, okay, do it, do dialysis. That is the thing. He will not say, no, I am disidentified, I don't want anything. Even the Jnani will not say, because he is totally indifferent. What happened doesn't happen. The body is indifferent. If giving me dialysis makes you happy, do it. If it gives me pain, it's okay. It is belonging. I am not identifying myself with the pain. So this is the cognitive, state this jnanis reach, and the whole purpose of the spiritual journey is to reach that state. It's just like a young cricket player wanting to play the test match. Only very few people can get to that stage, isn't it? Playing for the country, a test match and all that. But then everybody has to try. I mean, there are so many aspirants are there. They all try. Some of them, they succeed also. So that is what is called. And this waking state, this Jagrat Avastha, has got a technical name in the Shastra. It is called Vishwaha. So just you have to remember, Vishwaha means it refers to Jagrat Avastha. Okay. So it is Uchyate. Whereas in the dream state, we don't identify with the physical body. There is no identification with the external world at all in a dream state. Even though we have experience of dream, there are so many characters in the dream. In fact, we give ourselves a body in the dream. We are there in the dream. We dream that we are doing so many things in the dream. All there coming out of our mind. Mind is the only thing which is active during the dream state. So obviously now the author goes, after explaining about waking state, he goes to the dream state. So the student is asking, Swapna avastha keti chet. What do you mean by dream state, Swapna avastha? And author gives a very beautiful explanation. Jagrat avasthayam yat drishtam yat shrutam tad janita vasanaya nidra samaye yaha prapanchaha pratiyate sa swapna avastha. Such a beautiful definition he gives. Sukshma sharira bhimani atma taijasa ityuchyate. So what does he say? He talks about the mechanism of the dream first. How that dream happens. What is the mechanism behind it? Okay. He says that at the time of waking, whatever we experience, that is the external world, the mind records those experiences. They are all stored. All experience. Because if it is not recorded and stored, next time we will not be able to recall that experience. Suppose you go and touch a hot some vessel, right? Immediately it will burn your finger. Mind will record that experience. So next time you will be careful. If you don't record and that experience and are unable to recall it, every time you will be touching, isn't it? Similarly, wet paint. Even though it is a wet paint, we will go and put our feet on that. So sometimes. So we have to record this. So mind records all these experiences which we have in Jagrata Avastha, including the reactions which we have. Mind you, a particular experience angered me. It generated anger in me. That is recorded. That anger along with that experience is recorded. This particular experience gave me a lot of happiness. That connection between that experience and happiness is recorded. So it is like a video movie, more than video. Video is only visual and audio. Here even the emotions are recorded in the mind. That's what is called vasanaya, he says, right? So not only the physical experiences, but also the reactions, the subtle reactions to all those experiences which we have experienced. Everything gets recorded in the mind. For the purpose, we can now say antakarana, right? Because then when we talk mind means, we have seen manaha means it is a sankalpa vikalpatmakaha, we have seen. So the question will be, how can mind record? It is indecisive, doubting Thomas and all. So that's why we call it antakaranam, because the recording happens in one aspect of the mind or the antakaranam, which is called chit. So in chit, this recording takes place. Okay. Generally we say computer, but then if you are more want to be specific, we say hard disk, processor and all that. Otherwise, for general people, computer will say it's fine. So mind, you say it is fine. But when we are being specific, we say it is all recorded in the chit. Okay. So that is what he said. So both visual, sound, reactions, everything, all experiences, vasanas, everything gets recorded. And mind you, this recording does not get erased at all. The storage capacity is endless. Only thing what happens is, as we grow older, our recalling capacity may come down, but the storage is all there. Everything right from childhood, what all we have experienced. Why childhood? Previous births. Everything is being carried forward, isn't it? Birth after birth after birth. Everything is there in the mind. In the chit, to be specific, right? In the chitta. So all these recordings, what happens in the Swapna Avastha, they play. They get projected on the screen of that mind. Right? Mind is the projector, mind is the screen, and then we feel that we are actually seeing this beautiful, like a cinema and all that, some wonderful dream we are seeing. And then a lot of people will give interpretations to the dream. If you dream in the early morning, that will come true, right? So many stories all will come. People make it very entertaining. That entire dream experience they make it very, very entertaining, right? So This is what is all about the Swapna Avastha, the entire, it's a very, very sophisticated recording device which we cannot replicate. You can make tape recorders, you can make video recorders, everything. You cannot capture the emotions in that, in that recording, right? So, and this medium, as I said, lasts for several births. And those are called samskaras or vasanas and all that. They come after birth, after birth. So that is why, some people have this inclination for a certain thing. Why they have an inclination? Even all of you, I can tell you with certainty that you must have had some exposure to Vedanta, to spirituality in your past births. That is what has actually made you come and sit in this class after class. Today we are in the 20th class, 20 classes. Otherwise, if you do not have that inclination, I can tell you, I have experienced it, 2 classes people cannot, sit for Vedanta. It is not possible. They will say it's all nonsense, rubbish. That's what they will say. So whenever Puja Swamiji, used to tell us that this is, you don't think that you have done something great yourself. It's all coming from your past births that you are finding yourself in the Gurukulam today. And that I am your teacher. Everything is all there, pre-planned. Nothing happens in life or in this entire cosmos by chance. Nothing happens. Everything is very intelligently put together by Ishvara. The whole cosmos is a very intelligent construction with full knowledge. That is how we have to understand Ishvara. Ishvara is not what we see as a Vishnu or Shiva and all that. They are forms of Ishvara. But Ishvara in essence, in nature, is this entire intelligence form. Sat Chit Ananda, existence, consciousness and limitlessness. That is Ishvara we have to understand. More we will see in the next class. Okay, I will say the prayers. And then, as usual, if you have any questions, we will discuss that. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Thank you all.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you, Guruji.
Namaskaram.
Thank you, Guruji.
Namaskaram. Namaskaram.
Thank
Yeah, I
you.
had a question.
Thank you very much, Guruji.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Somebody has a question?
Yeah, Sunil here.
Yeah, Sunil.
Uh, we say that this you spoke about the dream state, and they say ki whatever if it is in the morning dream, it will come true and all that stuff. It is not there. So there is also a faculty that we read about called ESP, extrasensory perception, which is like, or rather clairvoyance or whatever it is. So how does that fit in?
See, extrasensory perception or clairvoyance doesn't relate to the dream state. It relates to the waking state.
Okay.
Because those people, who exhibit this extrasensory perception and all, they exhibit during waking state. First of all, that you have to understand. So it is nothing to do with the dream state. Now, that is, you see, this extrasensory perception is something which is a part of the universe. Because if you see the Vedas, how the Vedas we got, they were given out by Ishvara and we have got it through Rishis. And Vedas are in the form of sounds. Okay? Now, can we hear that sound of Vedas?
No.
We are not equipped. But those Rishis who were created by Brahmaji initially, they had that extrasensory perception to hear that Vedas. Right?
Okay.
And then they could actually give it out to the world. So extrasensory perception is a power which is there in the totality.
Okay.
Right? Now what happens is that power manifests in some people.
Okay.
Now, on what basis that manifests, it could be totally karma driven.
Okay.
So that is a power which is there. Some people, it manifests. For example, we see Nostradamus and all that we read about.
Yeah.
Okay. He has predicted so many things. After so many centuries, such things are going to happen. And today, there are many people who actually refer to what Nostradamus wrote in the 14th or 15th century, I don't remember, but they relate to the happenings which are happening today. And then they say, you see, Nostradamus predicted all that. How did he do that? Extrasensory perception.
Okay.
Because they are actually endowed with that kind of a power.
Faculty.
In fact, in our Shastras, I'll just take one more minute. There is what is called Ashta Siddhi.
Okay.
That's a big topic, Ashta Siddhi. A person, an individual can obtain these Ashta Siddhis. And Ashta Siddhi, different things you can do. You can, one of them is this ESP, Ashta Siddhi.
Okay.
That you can predict the future. You can see the future, what is going to happen. So that way we can understand ESP is not nothing in this cosmos is inexplainable or unexplainable. Because the powers which are there, wherever you see any power, you understand that power belongs to Ishvara. And that Ishvara, that power is manifesting through this individual.
Okay.
That is how we have to understand ESP. Okay. Any
Thank
other
you.
question?
Guruji, this is about the faculty of us which knows that I slept well. Because when my body is relaxed, mind is not functioning, intellect, everything is in a sleeping state, in deep sleep. So the faculty of us which knows that I slept well. So that awareness is our real self.
Yes,
Is
you got it.
Okay,
That is our awareness, because we don't sleep. Atma or Brahman, what we call that Atma never sleeps. That is our real nature. And that is why we have that awareness that I slept well. Even though mind was not working, buddhi was not well, how do we say when we get up that I slept well? Somebody is watching. Sakshi Chaitanyam. That Sakshi Chaitanyam, which is our true self, is what is recording this, and then it makes us say that I slept. You got the essence of Vedanta. Very good.
I just
We will
wanted,
discuss all these things in detail later, of course, but that is right. You are right.
I mean, if time is okay, I just wanted the literal meaning of this line: "Sthula Sharirabhimani Atma Vishwa Ityuchyate."
Vishwa is a name. There's a technical name which Shastra gives for the
Jagrata Avastha.
Sthula Sharir, identification with the gross body. At this point in time, you just remember this name. Vishwa is the name given to identification with the gross body, right? So more than that, nothing is required to be understood at this point in time.
Okay.
Because later on also this Vishwa, Taijasa and Pragya and all, we will talk about all that, Stula, Shura, Sukshma and Karna Sharira and all. They are all Mithya at the end of the day. So you are going to learn about that and then dismiss them. Right. So it is not very important, but then Shastra, when you will come across this kind of this vocabulary or this terminology in Upanishads and all, if you study, so that time you must not be wondering what was this, what is this Vishwa, what is this Taijasa and all. So the author through this Tattva Bodha text is introducing us to all those terminologies. And this Vishwa is the name given for our identification with this Sthula Sharira is called Vishwa. Identification with Sukshma Shariram is called Taijasa. And identification with Karana Shariram is called Prajna, which we will talk about later. That's all. That much you can understand for the present. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. Any more satsanga questions? So with your permission, can I close the class or shall we close? Continue next Saturday?
Yes,
Thank you, Guruji.
Hari Om. Thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you,
Thank
Guruji.
you.
Thank you. Hari Om.
Thank you, Guruji.
Namaste.
Namaste.